Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. Kim Jong-Gensler, SEC Supreme Leader and Dictator, was absolutely torn apart today at an oversight hearing, and it was an absolute pleasure to watch. I'm going to share with you some of the most interesting highlights from this thing. And I say today, technically at the time I'm recording this, what time is it? It's 12:49 a.m., so technically yesterday, depending on what time zone you're in. But for me, it doesn't count as yesterday until I go to sleep, and I haven't gone to sleep, damn it. So that's what I'm calling it on my channel. But I'm telling you, this was an absolute pleasure to watch. That being said, Gary Gensler, we'll see what happens. Maybe he gets away with all this, but have you read the headline that's on your screen right now? Because there's a real push to have Gary Gensler removed. Look at this headline from Daily Caller. Rep. Warren Davidson calls for removing SEC Chair Gary Gensler, overhauling agency. And he said it to his face. He called out all the tremendous failures. I imagine that this would, for a normal human, feel very uncomfortable. But for Kim Jong-Gensler, I'm not convinced that he's actually a human. He might be a lizard people. I don't really know. But so he may not have emotions. He's just out to destroy. He doesn't care. Well, you can imagine. You see the ego, But before sharing additional thoughts and specifics, I do want to be clear at the outset here, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So let's go ahead and jump into this first piece here, which I came across in my Twitter feed from Warren Davidson himself, and he tweeted out, Chairman Gensler's record of failures to protect investors and abuses of power make it clear that we need to restructure the SEC. It's time. So the piece reads as follows. Republican Ohio Rep. Warren Davidson is calling for Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler to be removed from his post and for the SEC to be restructured. Davidson laid out his case for removing Gensler and restructuring the SEC in his closing remarks at Tuesday's SEC oversight hearing by the House Financial Services Committee. And check out this quote. This is absolutely beautiful. Like no punches were pulled. There was no holding back here. This is absolutely just a complete destruction of Kim Jong-Gensler. I mean, he was torn apart viciously. And so here's the quote from Rep. Warren Davidson, and he said this directly to Kim Jong-Gensler's face. Chairman Gensler, your record of failures to protect investors and abuses of power make it clear that we need to restructure the Securities and Exchange Commission. The failures are many, but let me cite some of the abuses. You average more than 2 rules proposals a month. You inappropriately provide inappropriately short comment periods. You have unworkable and unlawful ESG disclosure mandates on the market. You have essentially a Hotel California rule for crypto when you can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. You have endless discovery with no resolution and no clarity for the captives in the market. You have unworkable proposals for overhauling equity market structure, a de facto ban on crypto through proposed custody rule. You have high staff turnover, unhappy people leaving your office, and unhappy companies and capital leaving our country. I am introducing legislation that removes the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission and replaces the role with an executive director that reports to the board where all authorities would reside, end quote. That one gets a little golf clap from Moon Family. Now, look, I know we're all cheering, saying the same thing. Hell yes, absolutely. I love seeing this said to his face. Now, in terms of the idea of Gensler actually being removed, I'm not optimistic for that. I want it to happen because he's a terrible creature that I think nature accidentally made. I mean, let's just be real about it. But it's still a pleasure to watch. And look, by the way, this hearing, it went on for several hours. I can't remember, 4 or 5 hours, whatever it was. And he was just getting shredded for the majority of this time. And so fine, he got away with not answering, a bunch of questions. In fact, wait till we get to the part about ETH. There's another representative in the House that was just pressing for several minutes for clarity on a basic question. Is ETH a security or not? So we'll get to that in a second, but there's so much. And so anyway, Attorney John Deaton shared something from Warren Davidson. Here's a tweet from Warren Davidson. This is another one he wrote. I'm calling to restructure the SEC and the removal of Chair Gary Gensler. Watch my closing remarks from today's hearing where I lay out the abuse of power and failure to protect investors that has occurred. And that's what I just read to you, so you've heard that now. Attorney Deaton retweeted that and wrote, Warren Davidson called it like it is today and told the truth by telling Gary Gensler to his face that he is a complete failure as chairman of the SEC, with a little clap emoji. Yeah, damn straight. And also, Attorney John Deaton's crypto law on Twitter was live tweeting. This would be a bit too much for one video. You can see if you're looking, like while I'm scrolling down, like it was a really detailed and incredible live tweet of the situation. So I'm not going to go through this, but I wanted to note that. And Attorney Deaton did retweet that and said, as you read this continuing real-time thread of the hearing, you will fully grasp why I've said that there will be no regulatory clarity from Congress for several years. It is partisan politics as usual, with American innovation being murdered in real time. We must win in court. And Attorney Deaton has sang that chorus many times, and he's absolutely correct, unfortunately. The only way that we're going to have a path forward is through litigation. And so while it's awful that we as an XRP community have suffer the consequences of Kim Jong-Gensler attacking investors, which is absolutely what he's been doing, as terrible as that is, the good news is, since we were the first, among the first anyway, we're going to be finished among the first. And thankfully, with XRP specifically, the entity that they're suing, Ripple, had not just the cojones to fight back against the SEC and Kim Jong-Gensler, but also had the monetary, like the fiscal war chest to make that happen. Because look, there are a lot of tough individuals out there that would love to fight back against the SEC, but if you don't have, the right lawyers, and the right lawyers, by the way, very expensive, you can't do it anyway. So even if you have the desire and the guts to do it, you can't unless you have the money. So we are fortunate here within the XRP community that Ripple absolutely certainly has the money, has the fortitude to push back. And as a result, we as XRP holders, if this goes the way that we think and hope that it will, at least in terms of clarity, positive clarity for XRP holders, we're going to be the only holders in crypto just about that actually have clarity. And it'll be by the way, XRP, the only large cap coin on the entire damn planet that has clarity. So we'll be finished with this. Now, I say finished, but in reality, most of us hold a lot more than just XRP. I hold about 30 different cryptocurrencies, and so I'm still sitting here worried, okay, well, what's going to get attacked next? Because we just found out literally yesterday that that Algorand, and there were 6 cryptos, but this is the one that I hold, Algorand was listed by the SEC as a security. And it's completely disgusting, despicable, and I've been saying for the longest damn time, I'm worried about which crypto I hold is going to get attacked next. Well, now I know. It's Algorand. God freaking damn it. Kim Jong-Gensler is the worst creature that nature accidentally produced. But again, at least for XRP, which is my largest holding, so, I think we're going to have positive clarity there. Well, we're going to have clarity one way or another. It's just kind of a question of, is it good for us or not? And I think the answer is going to be yes. We'll see, though. And then there's a video clip shared by the digital asset investor to Warren Davidson here, and he wrote, is XRP a security? Warren Davidson tells Gary to his face he's proposing legislation to fire him. And yes, indeed, XRP absolutely was brought up here. And Gensler, what kind of clarity do you think he wants to provide? And so Charles Gasparino of Fox Business, he actually retweeted that, and he said, I think encapsulates the real problem surrounding the SEC regulation of crypto. Way too much double talk around some pretty obvious areas that should be settled law right now. Is Ether a security? If not, or if so, why is XRP a security? By now, we should all know this. Oh, yes, indeed. And by the way, it was Patrick McHenry that really went off on Gensler on this topic of ETH. Now, the reason this is important, even if you don't hold ETH, I know a lot of us do. I hold ETH. It's the first crypto I ever bought, actually. I've been holding it since 2017. It's just interesting because ETH is the second largest market cap crypto in existence. So, fine, there's over 20,000 different cryptocurrencies. I wouldn't literally expect Kim Jong-Gensler to be aware of every single one and the specific circumstances of all of them. But for ETH, yes, I would expect that. I'd expect him to be very well versed on ETH. Absolutely. Why the hell would he not be? It's not reasonable to expect that chair of the SEC wouldn't be well-versed on everything regarding the ETH ecosystem, including its beginnings, right? And so here you have the Financial Services GOP Twitter account sharing the following today. They wrote, Chairman Patrick McHenry wasted no time taking Gary Gensler to task at today's hearing. Quote, we have a constitutional duty to conduct oversight of the agencies under our jurisdiction, and we will continue to do so aggressively, end quote. And then Patrick McHenry himself retweeted that this morning, and he said, for 2 years, Democrats gave Gary Gensler a pass for his disastrous agenda. It's time for accountability. From his destructive climate disclosure rule to his regulation by enforcement of digital assets, Chair Gensler's agenda has weakened capital markets and stifled innovation. And so look, this video clip that's on your screen, I'm not going to play it, but it went on for several minutes. And he's just wording it in any number of ways that he could, trying to get Gary Gensler to say, okay, what is ETH? Is it a security? Is it a commodity? And one of the things that he asked, because mind you, the CFTC chair, Benham, he said recently that ETH is a commodity. And so one of the final questions that Patrick McHenry asked here was, is it beneficial to, and I'm paraphrasing, but is it beneficial for investors out there to have two government agencies, and one of which calls it a commodity, and then you get the SEC claiming that everything except Bitcoin is a security. Is it beneficial to investors to have two different agencies saying two completely different things? Is that beneficial? And you couldn't get a damn answer out of this guy. What Gensler kept saying again and again, well, he basically was citing the factors of the Howey test. Here's what we looked at. Here's the Howey test. That's effectively what he's doing right there. But if it's so damn obvious, the rules of the road, crystal clear, right? Because that's what Gary Gensler says. Well, if that's true, why can't you just say what the hell ETH is? Why can't you just say what the hell it is, you damn jackass? Because we all know the truth. We know the truth. So here's Eric Voorhees. Now, Eric Voorhees, he's the founder of cryptocurrency exchange Shapeshift. And he tweeted out the following. Rep. McHenry, quote, is Ether a security or a commodity, end quote. Gensler doesn't answer over and over again. If the law was clear, the answer could be immediate and easy. SEC is not credible or ethical. Now, that is spot on. And he literally was asking the same question over and over and over again. And he wasn't putting up with the nonsense BS. Like, he was absolutely grilling Gensler. And then we have this from Ari Paul, who's self-described as CIO/founder of Block Tower Capital, 223,000 followers. And he wrote the following. It's bad enough that the SEC brings charges before specifying that the activity in question is prohibited. But to refuse to specify even after bringing charges? In a democratic society, we don't face penalties for rules that the rulers refuse to say are prohibited. Amen, brother. Absolutely spot on. And another thing that was brought up, it's something that I've been bitching up a storm about for, I guess, over 2 years at this point. Not entirely. I guess I can't remember at what point it was stated, but it was actually, it was after Gensler became SEC chair. So maybe it was just within the last 12 months, actually, to be more precise, now that I'm thinking about it. But Gensler, for a long time, he's like, I'm not going to speak about any specific cryptocurrency, I'm a prick, that. But then eventually he did. He said that Bitcoin, not a security. To him, it looks like it's commodity. He actually said that. I'm like, okay, well, there's one out of over 20,000. There we go. So we have Bitcoin. But then after that, he continues to say, I'm not going to speak about individual cryptocurrencies. And I've critiqued that so many times because I'm like, you little jackass bitch, that is not true. You did speak specifically about one cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. So do it again for ETH and some other coins. I mean, ETH, that's the second largest cryptocurrency. So you can't just say, oh, well, I'm not going to speak about specific cryptos. But he got called out by Patrick McHenry. On camera, you say you're not going to speak about the specific cryptocurrency. You did, though. So do it again. Do it one more time. Just do it for ETH. And he couldn't get it out. Of course, he wasn't going to be able to get it out of Gensler, but the point is, at least it's on display, and you can see the obfuscation here from Kim Gensler. That's the point. And then there's XRP community member JV who shared this clip, and I'm not going to play this either, but there's a Rep. Lawler, and he said, quote, and I did enjoy this one. Here's the quote. He said this to Gary Gensler, quote, Your obfuscation is amazing. Congratulations, end quote. It's like, honestly, like, a lot of the hearing was a blasty blast to watch. It was an absolute blasty blast to watch. I was thrilled to see a lot of this stuff here. But it still is what it is. And are we closer to anything that's positive? Well, unfortunately, like Attorney Deaton pointed out, we're not going to have any sort of clarity with the current political makeup of Congress just in general. We're not going to get any sort of clarity for a number of years. So the only clarity we're going to get, it's going to come through the courts. But that's also why I said a little bit earlier in the video, the good news is for us, we here as XRP holders, at least we're almost finished with this, right? And we don't know that for sure, fine. There is a world in which potentially this ends up going to the Supreme Court, and then you're looking at another several years, fine. I don't think that's probable. And also, as a friendly reminder here, and this is positive, Attorney Jeremy Hogan has articulated recently his perspective. I shared it on the channel. He doesn't think that if the SEC loses, he doesn't think that the SEC is actually going to appeal, because if they do and then they lose at a higher level court, that's the end for the SEC on the crypto front. Because if they lose, that's binding. You're at a point where it's not just some sort of legal finding that judges and other courts could just look at and as maybe hey, head in this direction as a suggestion. No, this would be binding. So Attorney Jeremy Hogan says, I don't think that they're going to be appealing if they lose here. So the odds of this actually going to the Supreme Court, probably low. It's possible. But even if it gets there, I mean, I made my position very well known. I firmly believe that the same as Attorney Deaton, which is that the SEC would lose. Because what they're engaging in now is a tremendous governmental overreach, and there's a lot of other reasons too, obviously. But the current makeup of the Supreme Court is not going to put up with that. They've demonstrated that they have no interest in putting up with such hoo-ha and nonsense and horse-pucky. Ain't gonna happen. So that's where we're at right now. I hope Gensler gets removed, but again, don't hold your breath. I appreciate the effort, at least. At least somebody's doing something that's right. Now, can you get sufficient support to make that happen? I don't think so. There are a number of Democrats speaking positively about Kim Jong-Gensler today, which is just infuriating to me. Really burns my biscuits, son. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family sedan.